Show. You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Wednesday, about half the work week in the rearview mirror. Thanks for hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Got Jacob Beck and Kathy Spazzali back there on the ones and twos. Koki Riley coming along in 15 minutes. LSU won a baseball game last night by 1,000. Probably shouldn't have even played the game. It is what it is. LSU headed towards Texas A&M this weekend, in a weekend that I think will define their season very likely. So we'll talk to Koki about that. It is a What If Wednesday. We welcome your what ifs in the Bayou Ford chat and on Twitter at HuntPalmer88. The illustrious Richard Condon has blessed us with a what if today, so we'll get to that at the bottom of the hour. The Saints have added a defensive back we'll talk about. The Athletic had a really cool piece that I want to go through with the All-Louisiana team in terms of high school recruits for what looks to be about the last 25 years. So we'll talk a little bit about that. SEC baseball power rankings coming at you, so plenty to get to. Lock us in for the next 2 hours from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock on this Wednesday afternoon. The news of the NFL calendar right now is, of course, the NFL draft, but I think there are also some other things that are happening around the New Orleans Saints, certainly some free agent signings, and a little bit of sound as well. Clint Kubiak entering his first offseason as the offensive coordinator of the New Orleans Saints, and he has not been really made available to the media to this point, so we haven't really gotten to hear anything Clint Kubiak has had to say. That changed a little bit earlier this week when he jumped on WWL down in New Orleans and chatted with Mike Hoss and Deuce McAllister, the broadcast team for the New Orleans Saints. And there are a few bites that I wanted to get to kind of paint the picture of what Clint Kubiak has gotten himself into here in New Orleans. And it starts kind of big picture. Okay, you come from this Shanahan tree. Everybody talks about it. All the creativity, the motions, all the fun stuff that's going on out west with the Shanahan tree. And so Clint Kubiak kind of spoke to, okay, what is your philosophy on offense?
Well, I think we just want to be grounded and run the football. We want to have an identity that we can run the ball versus 8-man fronts, and that's something we're going to stress to our guys early in the offseason and, building our play actions and building, moving the pocket off of that and trying to be a really good team on first and second down. So that'll be kind of stuff we're dialed in on here in phase 1 and phase 2.
That doesn't sound like a super interesting bite. It sounds like his dad, quite frankly. His dad was very much into, we're going to run the football, we're going to be good on first and second down, and that's going to make everything we do a lot easier. But he could have answered that question saying, we want to be creative, we want to be difficult to deal with, we want to be aggressive, we want to use motions and try to deceive defensive players' eyes and all these type of things that we kind of think of when we think about the 49er offenses that we've looked at. But at its core, we got to run the ball. And guess what? The Saints sucked at running the ball last year, especially early in the year. Kamara missed some time with suspension. You didn't know what you were going to get from Jamal Williams week in and week out. He was banged up a little bit, ended up not being super productive. You brought in a draft choice as a rookie. Kendre Miller didn't play a ton, so it wasn't like you got to see a ton of that either. They just weren't very good in terms of the offensive line and the backs they had to run the football. Really, the only way the Saints ran the ball with any success until Halloween last year was lining Taysom Hill up back there and just running straight ahead with him. Every other piece to the running game was not very good. And so for Clint Kubiak to say that's where we have to start, I think is a little bit revealing, and it's certainly going to take a lot of work because the Saints were not good at that last year. The second biggest piece to this thing, when you talk about Clint Kubiak, is working with the Saints quarterback, and the Saints are, as you well know, married to Derek Carr for the next 2 seasons. So Kubiak spoke to his working with Derek Carr.
I think Derek is a really good athlete. I think he's extremely accurate with the ball. He's played a lot of football, and obviously a huge part of me getting to come here was the chance to get to work with him. And I've observed him from a long time, just following the league, and he's a quarterback I have a lot of respect for, and just my short time with him has been really impressive. And number one, his intellect and what he can handle and what he can carry upstairs, but just those guys going out throwing and catching right now, that he's in really good shape. It's really important to him to be a great player, and it's really important to me and our coaches that we give him a successful system that he can have, he can build some confidence in.
This is a pretty good landing spot for Clint Kubiak in terms of having Derek Carr. Now, don't misunderstand me. He didn't have Patrick Mahomes, okay? I'd rather have Joe Burrow. Joe Brady fell into a really nice situation last year as an interim, having Josh Allen to play quarterback for him. It's not that good, but it's better than what Sean Payton's got in Denver right now. Like, that's obvious. You're not having to deal with Zach Wilson. Like, you're dealing with, very much in my opinion, a league average quarterback. If Derek Carr has a shoddy offensive line, banged up weapons on the outside, and not very good defense, then yeah, you're not going to have a lot of success. But if you put some solid, not excellent, solid pieces around Derek Carr, he can function in a quality offense. I'm not prepared to say the Saints were running a quality offense last year. That's Clint Kubiak's goal here. And while there could be a ton of excitement in coming in to, if say he could take either the Bears offensive coordinator job or the Saints offensive coordinator job, there's a lot of excitement to have Caleb Williams and to grow with him and to potentially have the next star in the league. Same thing goes in Washington for Jaden Daniels. If you go into that situation, man, this could be something great. I don't know that what you have in New Orleans is destined to be great or the top of the league. But you do know, without a shadow of a doubt, that Derek Carr can go out there and function in offense as long as you put it around him. So for Clint Kubiak, there's a safety net there that is Derek Carr. Now, for me personally, as I analyze the situation, I'm a little bit torn on what exactly Derek Carr is. And I realize that you could scream and yell about, he's got a track record in the league. He is exactly what he is. Struggles in the red zone. Throws for a lot of yards that don't matter. Doesn't win a lot of games. That's all proven. Go, okay, calm down. Again, I'm not trying to extend the ceiling to unimaginable heights here with Derek Carr. I did think he played better last year once the Saints got a little more creative and he was healthier than he was back in Green Bay. I just think he was a little bit better when he got healthy. And I'd like to see him fairly healthy for 16 games. I mean, he was between weeks 3 and 9, 10, like he was not healthy at all. And that just makes things difficult. And I thought as those ribs healed up, he got a little bit better. So I hope to see a little bit better from Derek Carr this coming year than we saw this past year. And one of the things that's got to get a lot better is what the Saints do in the red zone. They were putrid up into the middle of November. It got a little bit better late, but they were awful in the red zone. And the 49ers have been great in the red zone. And Clint Kubiak talked about what you've got to do in the red zone and on third downs.
Speaking first to the red zone, it's not one thing. It's being able to run the ball down there, and that's having an identity, getting to run the ball and having success there on base downs in the red zone, so you're not getting into 3rd and 6 from the 6, 3rd and 10 from the 10. Those are tough downs. You want to try to avoid those. You want to score on your base downs. So I think that's something that Coach Shanahan really harped on with those guys. As far as the third down, that's a whole other set of deals, but it's a team game, and we had a lot of really good players on offense, and it all started with them having great protection up front, good decision maker, quarterback, and weapons on the outside. So it's all about the players, and we as coaches just got to put an organized plan together for them.
That first part is so true that he talked about there with the red zone. Like, if you can't run the ball inside the 15-yard line, like, you are in a world of hurt, because the field obviously shrinks, and these NFL DBs are so good, and the windows become so tight that it's just your life gets hard. If you can't run the ball and you get into 3rd and distance, as he's talking about, 3rd and 8 from the 8, 3rd and 10 from the 10, because you can't run the ball, then you're in big trouble. The Saints could not run the ball last year. Outside of Taysom Hill catching the ball so you can win a numbers advantage without a quarterback on the field, like, it was a nightmare for the Saints trying to run the ball, and especially in the red zone. That's something they've got to get better. That's something you can point to that immediately makes your team better. If you can find a way to run the football in the red zone, you immediately get better. That's probably worth 4-6 points in a game. You talk about turning a couple of field goals into a couple of touchdowns. It's 8 points. Like, that's the difference in winning and losing. And, like, I'm not giving you any, like, some sort of revolutionary take here, but it is somewhat refreshing to hear the new guy who's coming in immediately speak to issues that plagued New Orleans last year. Whether or not he can fix them remains to be seen. We'll see in September. But in a setting where he doesn't have to give correct answers or may not know the exact situation that they're in, he's headed the right direction here. The Saints have a lot of the same cast of characters they had last year. This is the one guy who can make a palpable impact on what they do from a wins and loss perspective. Hopefully he's got a plan in place and can get it orchestrated, because Saints got to get a lot better. The schedule toughens up this coming year, and you got to play better or else your record's going to get worse. So that's Clint Kubiak, first-year Saints offensive coordinator from WWL when he was talking with Mike Hoss and Deuce McAllister. Appreciate the audio from those folks over at WWL. All right, we'll step aside for a timeout. When we come back, Koki Riley talking LSU baseball. What did we learn Auburn weekend? What did we learn last night against Grambling? Nothing. And what do we know about the Texas A&M Aggies as they come in on Friday night for a huge 3-game set? Koki Riley coming up next.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $11,000 off the new 23 Dodge Charger. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $11,000 off the powerful new Charger. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Charles Hager. Join me and Jimmy Ott for the Thursday edition of Live at Lunch from Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar and Town Square Pizza. We're talking to Matt Humans and Dwayne Colucci from Las Vegas. Live at Lunch, 11 a.m. Thursday on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Baseball breakdowns all season long, brought to you by Plucker's Wing Bar right there in Nicholson, just south of campus. Bluebonnet in front of the Mall, Louisiana. If you're headed out to the box this weekend to watch LSU and A&M, get on by Plucker's for a cold pop, some wings, before you head out and watch a little bit of baseball. A guy that'll be at the box this weekend is Koki Riley, covers the LSU baseball team for The Advocate. He's with us every single Wednesday on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Koki, how are you?
Doing great, Hunt. How are you?
Doing quite well. How many at-bats would you need to get a hit off the last Grambling pitcher we saw last night?
Honestly, if I was playing every day like I was in high school, then probably one or two. I played in high school, and most of the pitchers we faced threw harder than that. So if I'm being, I don't want to be too disrespectful to this individual, but I'm just telling you, giving you a sneak peek of my old abilities. But today, it would probably take me it might take me a little more than one or two.
Not the best quality of competition last night for LSU as they scored 1,100 runs. We'll not talk too much about the one last night, but I do want to go back to the weekend against Auburn. Is Gage Jump maybe finding a little something?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's doing a much better job of locating his fastball where he wants to throw it, even regardless of competition. So I think that's been a huge key for him because we already know the breaking stuff's really good, and really just the stuff in general is really good. And Johnson talked a lot about the fact that he just needs to pitch more because, again, like he came into the season only throwing, 13, 14 innings of college ball, despite being a junior. I guess technically he's a redshirt sophomore, but he didn't play last season. So I think just, because of that, that's, just getting that experience, especially against this level of competition, that's going to help you and just sort of, creating those scars, those like battle wounds, I guess. That's kind of been a lot, that's what, the season has been a lot for him. But, maybe he's turning the corner right now. But, we're definitely going to see how much of a corner he's really turned because, they're playing the number one team in the country this week.
No question about that. Has Christian Little maybe found something last weekend?
Yeah, I do want to investigate this a little bit more, but Coach Johnson did mention that they found a kind of a formula with his pitch mix, and pitch mix is really huge for a guy, even if you have really good stuff. But like if hitters aren't you and you're a little predictable, and if you're not locating perfectly, then it could be tough for you, right? But if guys find the right pitch mix, like think of a lot of the Red Sox pitchers this year, for example. Their stuff has, you can always improve stuff, but pitch mix is really important when you throw pitches. It's really important. And if they found something here with Little, that's huge because, his stuff, combine that with some of the better, location and control that he's shown recently, maybe you really have something here because, when he throws his fastball up in the zone and can get some movement on that pitch, that pitch can get up to 96 miles an hour. He's pretty effective, especially on the bullpen. So maybe they found something here, but we'll see. Again, we'll see this weekend because this is going to be the ultimate test for them.
No question there. Look, they tried two different guys in the leadoff spot over the weekend, 0 for 10 with 5 strikeouts between Kling and Bingham. Do you think Michael Braswell is next? We saw that last night.
Yeah, they really haven't been able to find a consistent leadoff guy this season. They've tried almost everybody at this point. Ashton Larson's one of the few, I guess, really good hitters / leadoff candidates who they haven't tried at the leadoff spot. Not saying they should, but Michael Braswell, remember, he led off, I think, opening day, and he's led off a couple games since then, and he led off last night. We'll see if that sticks against Texas A&M. I think a lot of who the leadoff guy is going to be is matchup dependent. Since they haven't found anyone who can get into that sort of rhythm. They gave Paxton Kling another try at it recently. That didn't really work out. There's Mac Bingham hit the ball better against Grambling, but that's against Grambling, and his leadoff leadoff stint. His first leadoff stint wasn't, perfect, and then he didn't get a hit on Sunday when they tried him at that spot again. And we've talked about Jared Jones being the leadoff guy. Tommy White was the leadoff guy at one point. So they're really, they really don't have the perfect candidate to be the leadoff guy. If, some of these other guys are struggling. And, it's kind of an issue for them. But I guess Michael Braswell is definitely an option for them. He's been one of their best hitters in conference play, just flat out. And that's not something we expected heading into the year, but he's just played really good baseball.
Chatting with Koki Riley, LSU beat reporter for The Advocate, talking some LSU baseball. Injury updates. Neal played last night after some time away. Ackenhausen had to leave the game over the weekend. What do you know about those two?
Brady Neal's 100%. As you saw last night, he homered and doubled and played. Did he play the whole game or at least most of the game? But he looks like he's A-okay. And then he was dealing with a shoulder issue, just to be clear. And then with Nate Ackenhausen dealing with a hamstring problem right now, hopefully we'll get more clarity on what exactly the timetable is with him. It doesn't sound like it was serious at all. Johnson said, if he really wanted to push it, he could have pitched the rest of that outing, actually. But Nate didn't like the way he was going down the mound, how his delivery was, sort of translating down to the mound. So that's why he kind of pulled himself out of that game. And it was obviously frustrating for him. But you remember, he was the one who motioned to Johnson and the trainers to come out and check him. So he's going to be a guy to monitor. It's going to be huge whether he's available or not this weekend. I think that's without question.
What do you think the trust is with Thatcher Hurd as far as this weekend goes, especially if they don't have Ackenhausen?
I think right now it's not at an all-time high. I think they probably trust Christian a little more. You mentioned him earlier. And maybe they're going to need him regardless because of this Nate Ackenhausen situation. But again, with him, it's about the fastball location, right? He leaves too many of those pitches over the plate, and because teams know that he has trouble locating the fastball, they can sort of sit on the curveball or the slider, and they can jump on those pitches too, even if there are really good pitches. And he's kind of stuck in this middle zone at the moment. At least that's how I kind of read the situation. But if he can, find a way to not just throw the fastball for strikes, because strikes were more of his problem last year. This year it's been less about the walks and more about painting the corner, hitting each side of the plate, and just not being, I guess, overly hittable. So he's going to have to show that he can turn that around if he's going to pitch effectively this weekend, if and when they go to him.
I've given my thoughts on this, but I'm curious yours. How big is this weekend?
They have to win a game. They don't win a game, then they have to win 6 straight of the last 6 games, and that's going to be I wouldn't say it's an impossible task, but it's close to it, if I'm being real. And then even if they do that, they'd have to win at least probably 2 games in the SEC tournament, because just to get that, quality of opponent wins up. I think they might have to sweep the Ole Miss series regardless of what happens this weekend. So, this weekend's huge. The Alabama series is huge. So, if they win 1 game, then they don't have to sweep the rest of the way, and that would make things a lot easier for them. But that Alabama series is arguably bigger just because it's on the road, just because it's against a team that it's more likely that you win a series against, even if it is on the road. It'll be interesting to see how that all pans out, because again, even Ole Miss is the last weekend. Ole Miss still has an outside chance of making the tournament, kind of like LSU. Their odds probably might even be a little bit higher than LSU's. So that won't be easy either. So I think this weekend they have to win 1 game. They have to win 1 game. If they don't win 1 game, then the curtains maybe aren't fully drawn, but they're 3/4 of the way drawn, I'd say.
Has covering Jay in a tough season like this been any different than covering him when they cruised through 19-10 like they did last year in the top 5 pretty much the whole way?
I That's a really good question. I mean, in some aspects, yes, because they're after games, and especially some of the road games when I'm fortunate enough to travel those games and get to sort of cover what's going on and be there on the scene. You can definitely sense a level of frustration that I just haven't seen before. Whether it was after some of these Tennessee losses or some of these other losses, Arkansas losses, where things were just really not going well to a point where it was hard to, it was hard to make straight of what had just happened. And yeah, like that's, and plus, like, given how competitive Jay Johnson is as a coach, like that should be expected. Like that doesn't surprise me that it happened, but it happened. And that's certainly been notable for me, at least, that level of frustration this season. And it's not like he isn't, they definitely struggled this season. But it's not like he's not trying. It's not like he's, putting in the towel, because I think it's hard to care about anything as much as he does about LSU baseball. And it sounds like I'm being like a PR firm when I'm saying that, but it's just true. If you're around the guy, it's just true. And you really feel that, and you've really felt, and I've really felt that this season, even more so than last season. So I think that level of care, that level of frustration, has like really shown through this year.
How do you think it goes this weekend?
I think they go 1-2. I should say 1 out of 3. I think they'll steal a game because I think they have just enough pitching to maybe keep them to A&M to 7 or 8 runs in one of these games. 6 or 7 runs, maybe not 8, but like 6 or 7 runs. Maybe they hold Braden Montgomery in 1 or 2 games, and then they'll have pretty good pitching available for 2 of the 3 games this weekend. So I look at like the Saturday game as a good option for them, because A&M has one really good starter, Ryan Targak, and then after that their next 2 starters have not been very good in SEC play. So I think you can definitely jump on that. It's like one of the few advantages LSU has this weekend is LSU has 2 pretty good SEC starters. A&M really only has 1. But A&M's bullpen is also excellent. I mean, they've been really, really good in SEC play. And obviously their lineup is maybe the best in the country. So, I mean, if you can kind of keep their lineup to, again, just 6 or 7 runs, and then offensively you can jump on their starter, I can definitely see a path to a victory on Saturday or even on Friday if they jump on Targak. So, really, really curious to see how this weekend goes. And heck, if they can steal 2, that would really, really change their season. I just wouldn't count on that if you're an LSU fan. That just isn't, I wouldn't say that's like overly realistic, even if it's not impossible either.
We'll see. We'll see you out there at the box this weekend, Koki. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
He's Koki Riley, LSU beat reporter for The Advocate, with us every single Wednesday, talking baseball and our baseball breakdowns all season long, brought to you by Pluckers. It's What If Wednesday. We'll do that next.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
Visit us at LeBear's Baton Rouge Casino this spring for all the hoops and hockey playoff action. We got the biggest screens, the best food and drink, plus giving away PIN cash bonuses and prizes to PIN Play Rewards members. If you're not a member, join today by downloading and registering for the PIN Play app from the App Store. You can unlock all the fun, including a chance to win up to $2,000 in PIN cash. All this and more make LeBear's Baton Rouge Casino your spring sports viewing headquarters. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com. Oh, by the way, we do shutters too.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $11,000 off the new 23 Dodge Charger. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $11,000 off the powerful new Charger. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
So join us for Wednesday's AFR presented by Pluckers. Matt is back. He'll have the latest in the transfer portal for LSU football. We'll continue our SEC spring recaps from a recap in LSU and Grambling in baseball. Wednesday's AFR 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
New Orleans Saints have a new defensive back. We'll talk about that coming up here in 15 minutes. Baseball power rankings coming your way at the bottom of hour number 2. So 1 hour from right now, we'll get to SEC baseball power rankings. Had a little bit of movement this week. After the weekend that was. And then a cool article coming up at the top of hour number 2 about the Athletics All-Louisiana high school recruit team from the modern recruiting era. So we'll get to a lot of that as well. But it's the bottom of the first hour on Wednesday. That means it's time for What If Wednesday.
Time, space, reality. It's more than a linear path. Where a single choice can branch out into infinite realities. Follow me and ponder the question. What if?
Alrighty, first one here. What if you could never 3-putt or hit every fairway? What if? I don't know why I said what if again, but
my golf game is interesting in that I don't have a massive strength nor a massive weakness. Yeah. I just kind of hit it the general right direction a lot and keep it kind of in play. So I don't make a lot of birdies and I don't make a lot of doubles. I just make a lot of bogeys and some pars. If I could hit every fairway, and while right now I'm still relatively long compared to the average golfer at 36 years old, I probably got another 8 or 10 years of that left. I would probably take that right now, knowing that I was going to be inside 150 on every hole. That would make my score pretty good. I think most of my big numbers come if I hit it out of bounds off the tee or into a water hazard off the tee or have to lay back off the tee. I can eliminate that, and I know I'm going to hit it in the fairway and I can bombs away. I think that's probably where I'm going to go there. What about you?
I think the answer is got to be hit every fairway. I will say, I know there's the thing is like if you're at, like for me, I'm not nearly as good of a golfer as you. I usually shoot in the 90s, but like keeping it in the fairway, keeping it in play it's the biggest reason why guys have like that aren't good at golf are so bad. It's because you hit it out of bounds or you hit it, top a drive or something. 3-putting, like I'm a decent putter. I 3-putt maybe once or twice around. That's going to save me like two shots. But hitting every fairway, there's multiple. Even though even if you hit a tee shot out of bounds or something, that's only you have to drop a shot. You only drop one shot there, but that still affects how you score on that hole. So to me, hitting every fairway has got to be the way to go.
I'd be pretty good if you put me right in the middle of the fairway for every second shot.
Yeah. All right, next one here. What if Jenny doesn't get sick in Forrest Gump?
Oh God, she's not coming back.
No.
She only came back because she was sick and
100%.
she needed someone to give her kid to. She's bad hombre.
She's the worst.
She's bad news.
Of all the fame. There's a lot of famous movies. Like for me, Titanic and Forrest Gump. They have two of the most unlikable women, but for some reason people like them.
It's like Breaking Bad.
Yeah,
like everyone hates Skylar in Breaking Bad.
but that's different because she has a reason to not to be that way. Whereas with Jenny, she just straight up sucks, and she treats Forrest. She treats Forrest horribly.
She would have been out, running around with Forrest Jr.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that she got sick actually probably saved little Forrest.
That's true.
That probably saved his life.
You're probably right. And then Rose in Titanic just sucks all around. She could have easily
30 years.
She could have easily saved Jack, but anyway, that's near here.
She'll never let go.
No. Next one. This one's from Richard Condon, as you noted earlier.
Oh boy.
The man Dick Condon here. What if Curly Hallman's teams at LSU from 1991 to 1994 would have been a member of the Southland Conference or Conference USA, basically just a group of 5 conference? How many conference championships would the Tigers have won? How do you even think of this?
I gave Richard just carte blanche to do whatever he wants for What If Wednesday. He comes back saying, could Curly Hallman win the Southland, Conference USA, Sun Belt, or the American? Which, by the way, the American didn't exist
no,
yet. It didn't come into existence until 2013. But I will humor Richard. Once again, 91 to 94, I was 3 to 6 years old. So I can't really give you a shot-for-shot remake of that roster. I don't know exactly what it was. I'm comfortable suggesting they would win the Southland Conference.
Yes.
The Southland Conference is an FCS conference. At that time, a Division 1 AA, I think would have been what you called it. And they would have had to beat McNeese and Nichols, and I think they'd have been okay from 91 to 94. So if there was anybody who was any good those years, I would suggest they could probably rattle off 1 or 2 conference championships over the years. I don't know
if they go 3 in a row.
Right there. Yeah, I wouldn't pick them to win every single one because there were some rough teams there that were getting beat pretty badly. But I feel like they could win the Southland. So, Rich, really appreciate it. Great question asking about Curly Hallman in a conference that did not exist 40 years ago, 30 years ago. But we got you answered. So
I wonder,
shout out, Rich.
I wonder if that was perhaps in reference to Jay Johnson saying yesterday, talking to Mark Etheridge of Deal in Baseball, that if LSU was in any other conference besides the SEC, that they would win that
They
conference.
would be in a first-place team.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about that because a lot of people have talked about it. One, I don't believe it. They would not win the ACC. I don't even think they would win the Big 12.
No.
I don't believe that. But 2, I don't know that necessarily Jay 100% believes it.
Yeah.
What I do think is he, like Nick Saban, when Nick would put the blue blazer on and go on game day for the SC championship or whatever and talk about how Alabama would be favored against everybody in the playoffs, so they should probably be in. Jay's just kind of greasing the old sheet here, trying to get his team in the favor of the selection committee, because let's be very clear, like, we're in a subjective world with the field of 64. Like, it's just whatever the committee says, that's what it is. So I think he's just trying to get out in front saying, hey, it's not our fault we lost to Arkansas and Tennessee. Like, all those teams would have lost to them too. We play out of our conference and we win every game. So help us out. I think it was pure politics. I don't know that it's going to help a lot. But
Leading by 1 in the 9th, 2 outs, bases loaded. Every arm on the staff is fresh and available in theory. Who would you choose to get the final out, starter or reliever? I think I know my answer.
Yeah, I mean, this just says who do you trust the most fresh to get one out, and I'm going to go with Herring.
Yep,
I
that's
just
me
don't,
too.
I trust him more than Holman. I trust him more than Jump, and certainly Little or any of those other guys like Ackenhausen, who's been in big spots as well. Guidry, who closed out the national championship. Like, there are some guys in the LSU team that have pitched in some pretty big spots, but nobody's throwing it better than Griffin Herring, and there are guys that have better stuff than Griffin Herring that throw harder than Griffin Herring, but. The fact that he's pummeling the strike zone every single time he goes out there, and he tunnels that slider and fastball so well, and guys just don't pick it up very well. He's the guy. I think if you made me pick a second guy, I'd probably go with Holman, but I don't feel super awesome about that.
Me neither.
I'd rather go with Herring. And it's just, that's kind of the biggest indicator of where this team is as a whole. When we thought they had like 11 guys that you could really trust to get outs. And like, I'm sitting there watching the game last night, and there goes Fidel Ulloa, who we haven't seen in a month. There's, Aiden Moffitt, they kind of tried him out, and now he's hadn't been a huge factor the last couple of weeks. Cam Johnson, is coming along, but isn't what we thought he might be. And Thatcher Hurd's a forgotten man at this point to a certain extent. And it just has not materialized the way that we thought that it would back in February. And a lot of that's happened on the offensive side of things too. And all of a sudden you've got a team that's probably in a spot that nobody really considered when we started this thing. So that's it for a What If Wednesday. Appreciate you getting your questions in there on Twitter. I'm looking through the Bayou Ford chat, and we're talking about Curly Hallman. Dustin B says in the Bayou Ford chat, Hallman would have dominated. I don't know about that. Like, again, maybe they would have dominated the Sun Belt and Conference USA. I don't have any sort of frame of reference of what those leagues looked like back then. And sir, I don't even know what LSU's team looked like at that point. I know the first game I ever went to, Jamie Howard was the quarterback, and LSU won, blocked a field goal against Ole Miss late in the game. It was really cold. We had a bunch of blankets on. I want to say I was 6 years old maybe for that game. So I don't have any idea. I know LSU lost a lot of games back then. I know people talk about the drop linebacker and all that, and I just don't know. But I appreciate Rich for jumping in and bringing the real hard-hitting questions. That's what we need. Rich brings the edge. He brings the hard-hitting stuff. I don't talk about it edgy enough stuff, and Rich lets me know about it on Twitter. So whenever we can get him involved in the show, we're going to have to do that as best we can. Nookie says in the Bayou Ford chat, the 92 team was just sad. I have no idea.
They were 2-9.
It's a double-edged sword here. Like, there's pros and cons to both sides. I missed the 90s of putrid football. Like, just didn't really see that. And I missed the start of Skip's run in baseball. And so while one was really fun and one was miserable, I missed both sides of it. I really kind of jumped on board with football. I remember the Independence Bowl in 95. Certainly remember being there for the Florida game in 97 and was really locked in by 2000. I remember the 2000 baseball team really well, even though I remember the Warren Morris home run. The 2000 baseball team's the first one I really followed. And then Strohmeyer and Jabari Smith and all those guys that made the Sweet 16, that was the first basketball team I ever got in. And so really it's been 24 years that I've kind of been locked in. I remember smattering of things in the 90s, the early 90s when we were terrible at football. I don't have any frame of reference for that at all. So maybe that's a good thing. We'll take a timeout, come back and close out hour number one. The Saints made a new free agent signing. I'll tell you who it is coming up next.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
I'm going to give you the phone number for Boudreaux's Electric here in a second. So get your phone out or get your pen and paper out because you need to make this call today, not after your power goes out, today. Because the folks at Boudreaux's Electric are a certified Generac dealer. They're a premier Generac dealer. That means they're in the top 3% nationwide in terms of Generac generator distribution. Neil and Melissa have been running it for 40 years. And with every Generac generator that you buy, you get a 7 to 10-year warranty depending on the type that you settle on for your home or your business. This is not just for homeowners, although it's a great thing for you, the homeowner. It's for business owners as well. You want to make sure that power is up and running. Our power here at Guarantee went out yesterday morning. I don't know why. Weather wasn't that bad, but the power went out, and we kept on running because the generator flipped everything back on, and we never missed a beat. You can do the same thing at your business or your home if you give Boudreaux's Electric a call. It's 985-397-1562. 985-397-1562. They've been in Napoleonville for decades, opening a new location there in Gonzales. They can service you wherever you are in our listening area. It's Boudreaux's Electric at 985-397-1562.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Power up your next project with John Deere Deals by Sunshine. Whether you're working hard or playing hard, our knowledgeable team will help you find the right product for you. Ask us about our amazing tractor package promotions. Learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated.
Charles Hager, join me and Jimmy Ott for the Thursday edition of Live at Lunch from Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar and Town Square Pizza. We're talking to Matt Humans and Dwayne Colucci from Las Vegas. Live at Lunch, 11 a.m. Thursday on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
While you're busy with spring cleaning, we'd like to add to the clutter in your bank account to the tune of $2,000. It's the 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge Spring Cha-Ching, powered by Citizens Bank and Trust. Register today at 1045ESPN.com.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Closing up hour one here on this Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. New Orleans continues to look around in free agency and do some bargain shopping. It's what they are prone to do. Generally speaking, not a lot of flexibility to go big market shopping. Just trying to pick some guys up here or there that can help you with a little bit of depth, and that certainly was the case here today as the Saints signed former Detroit Lion Will Harris. Will Harris was a third-round pick out of Boston College to Detroit. He spent 5 years there, and the thing that stands out a lot about Will Harris, he's listed as a defensive back, but he is incredibly versatile. Harris played free and strong safety in his first 3 years in Detroit. He's listed as starting some games at linebacker for Detroit, played certainly some nickel and some corner as well. In 5 years in Detroit, he played in 81 games, very much available, 16 in 19, 16 in 20, 17 in 21, 15 in 22, and 17 more last season. Started 40 games over that time. So you're talking about a guy that can come in and help you at either safety spot, at nickel, play a little bit of corner as well, and probably help you on special teams. The Saints are looking at their safety situation and likely leaning on Jordan Howden and Tyrann Mathieu to take the lion's share of those reps, not to use a terrible pun with a former Lion here. But Will Harris, I think, can come in and absolutely give you some help there. Same deal with Jonathan Abram as well. And so you're counting on some guys that have been in the league 5, 6, 7 years in that case. And you look at Will Harris, he's entering his age 29 season, and I think this is a good pickup. Now, I have continued to say this. It's a broken record. It's every single time they make a signing, but this is a 1-year contract. It is risk-free. it does not in any way compromise the 25 or 26 Saints. It is not a contract that you're going to have to, manipulate down the road to move some money around to get under the cap. You're just looking at this as a guy who can help you on this team. And if it works out and you want to extend it, you can do that. And if it doesn't, and his best football is behind him, which obviously Detroit thinks it is, then you're not hurting the teams down the road. I have no issue whatsoever with this signing. It would not surprise me at all if he got on the field and played ahead of Jordan Howden. It would not surprise me at all if Jordan Howden won that job. It also wouldn't surprise me at all if there were some injuries back there in the secondary, because the Saints had a lot of injuries in the secondary last year. And Dennis Allen, we know Dennis Allen, he's a secondary guy. That's his baby. He played safety at Texas A&M. It's what he's coached. That's what he knows, what he likes, and that's why they traded up and took a secondary player in the second round when we all thought the secondary was in pretty good shape. Dennis Allen wants his secondary to be good. And in this day and age in the NFL, that's a very important thing. Teams are throwing it all over the place. It's a long season. Guys get banged up. Adding proven veterans to the secondary, always a good thing. And in this case, a very good thing, I think, because of the length of the contract. It's a one-year deal. That's basically all the Saints are handing out here. And I love it. I think the Saints are properly resetting this thing. And I talked about it yesterday at length, and I'm talking about it here today, but it doesn't change. It's how I feel. This is the approach that needs to be taken. We have not seen a shift in this team, in this franchise, in almost 2 decades. We're seeing that here. And again, I'm not trying to overstate the importance of a one-year deal the Saints got in Will Harris, but it's all the moves they've made over the last 6 weeks that indicate that they understand, okay, we need to fill out this roster, and we can do so. We have enough room and enough money to go get some veterans and sign them to small contracts. We can use our draft picks, and we'll see how the dice fall. But the more you do this and keep these one-year deals in place, the more these long-term big money deals to aging players start to come off the books. And that's when you can start to become more aggressive. Right now, they don't have any room to be aggressive. There are too many holes and not enough money to fill the holes. Can't be aggressive when the math works like that. You just got to kind of bide your time. And signings like this will help the Saints bide their time. Will Harris, 5 years in Detroit, now headed to New Orleans to help them in the secondary and likely on special teams as well. More news continues to break. We will certainly get that to you here on the Hunt Palmer Show. If you're looking for our Saints news, you can always find it on YouTube. Hunt on Saints is our Saints YouTube channel. It's all Saints all year round. So if you're looking for your Saints football fix, subscribe up to the channel Hunt on Saints on YouTube. Our videos will come right there to your homepage. Opened the hour today talking about Clint Kubiak's comments on WWL last night on his offensive philosophy, on how Derek Carr fits into what he wants to do on the red zone and third down. I thought it was an interesting conversation that he had on WWL, and we ran that sound in the first segment. You can also find that at Hunt on Saints as well. Koki Riley covers the LSU baseball team for The Advocate. He was with us at 1:15 to talk about LSU as they enter this huge series with the Texas A&M Aggies. It was What If Wednesday. What if Jenny doesn't get sick and Forrest Gump? That's it's just like rolled off the tongue, even though that's not the name of the movie. Stuff like that goes on What If Wednesday. If you missed any of that, you can catch it on demand. 1045ESPN.com's on-demand tab, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google. Wherever you find your sound, you can always find us. Type in Hunt Palmer Show. Like, subscribe, rate, review. We always appreciate that as it gets our content in front of as many eyes as possible. I'm excited to kick off hour number 2 here after SportsCenter. The Athletic came up with an all-Louisiana team based on high school recruits in the quote-unquote modern era. How many of them are LSU guys? How many of them are the guys that got away from LSU? And did they get it wrong? Because I think they may have. We'll talk about some of that as well as SEC baseball power rankings at the bottom of hour number 2. Don't go anywhere. We'll pause for SportsCenter and come on back with some more of the Hunt Palmer Show.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play. Keep you connected. Sales, service, and finance team. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagine creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property.
Louisiana, the local place you can turn to for all of your Gonzalez. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give your metal buildings 647-2020.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Mavericks point guard Luka Doncic declared himself ready for Game 5 tonight of the first-round NBA playoff series against the Clippers, but did acknowledge he probably wouldn't be playing on his sprained right knee if this were the regular season. That series is 2-2, coverage 9:30 Eastern, ESPN Radio. No Kristaps Porzingis for the Celtics in the potential clincher tonight, Game 5 versus the Heat, expected to miss at least several games with a calf strain. Boston can weather his absence, but only for so long, points out ESPN basketball analyst Andrea Carter.
I don't think it's a cause for concern against the Heat, not against potentially the Magic or the Cavs, but it is in whoever potentially comes out and plays in the Eastern Conference Finals. I think that's where it comes into play, and that's where the Celtics will be vulnerable. I don't think the Celtics are vulnerable until the Eastern Conference Finals.
Al Horford likely starts in place of Porzingis. Tiger Woods told the Today Show he is still on track to play once a month the rest of the season and remains focused on the majors. Said he mapped out a calendar before the season began, but his physical limitations continue to make it challenging.
Feeling great starts with a great shave, and great shaves start with Barbasol Shaving Cream. That's Barbasol Shaving Cream, an American classic for over 100 years. Close Shave America, Close Shave Barbasol.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I direct your attention to something quite extraordinary?
Now, The Hunt Palmer Show. The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour number 2, Hunt Palmer Show here on this Wednesday. Thanks for hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. We're coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. Hope your work week is going well. Thanks for hanging. LSU's basketball roster looks to be complete. We'll talk about that in 15 minutes from right now. SEC baseball power rankings at the bottom of hour number 2. I want to start hour 2 with a cool little exercise from The Athletic. It's the football offseason, especially from a college perspective. So oftentimes you'll see lists like this and stories like this come out, and they're fun to kick around at times. I know Matt Moscona on AFR has a bit about how dumb they are, and at times they can be. But this one I thought was fun, and I've got a little bit of a discrepancy here and there with it, and I just kind of wanted to put it in your brain, see what you think. Get on the Bayou 4 chat and let us know what you think as I kind of roll through this. But Manny Navarro put this up yesterday evening, and I was rolling through it, and his exercise that he's doing for different states across the country is to take it says the last 2 decades, so I don't know if it's exactly 20 years, if there's a little bit of wiggle room, but basically he calls that the modern recruiting era, and he went and formed an All-Louisiana team based on high school recruits. And so I thought it was interesting. My first thought is, okay, well, how many of them did LSU get? How many of them did LSU not get? And then the question remains, are there guys that they didn't think of or that I think got displaced on this list? So let's roll through here, and we'll start on offense. There are 12 members of the offense. They've got an all-purpose, and then you got 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, and 5 offensive linemen. Doesn't say guard, tackle, center, just says O-line. So this side of the ball, LSU actually was clearly had the most representation, but it was only 5. There are 7 that did not attend LSU. So as you look at this, the quarterback on this team, and I'm assuming this clearly does not go back to Peyton Manning nor Eli Manning, who were right around, Peyton was mid-90s and Eli was right there in the late 90s coming out. Dak Prescott is the quarterback on this team, and I don't have huge qualms with that. I can't think of anybody that went somewhere, and certainly not anybody at LSU, that merits anything better than Dak Prescott put out there. So, and again, this has nothing to do with how they did in the NFL. This is purely a college performance based on Louisiana recruits. So I'm okay with Dak there. The first running back is Leonard Fournette. I have no issue with that. He's the best running back I have ever seen at LSU. I try not to use hyperbole when I say that. There are only a few guys that I label from their position to position as the best I've seen at LSU. Leonard is one of them, so I have no qualms with that. And then if you're just talking about college production, you would have a hard time. I know a lot of names are running through y'all's head. If you're thinking about Darius Geist, if you're thinking about Jacob Hester, if you're thinking about Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Charles Scott, Keelan Williams. I mean, LSU's had a ton of great, Jeremy Hill, Kenny Hilliard, like great running backs. Travis Etienne is the all-time leader in touchdowns in ACC history. It's hard for me to grab one of the LSU guys and put him on there when you're thinking about what Travis Etienne did at Clemson. So I don't have any beef with that. Beck, you got beef with Leonard Fournette, Travis Etienne, and Dak Prescott?
No, I knew that whenever you started talking about the second one that it was going to be, I was thinking Travis Etienne as well because, like you said, LSU has had obviously a million really good running backs, but just statistics-wise, there was always at least 2 or 3, so none of them really dominated besides Leonard. And so, Travis Etienne, I wouldn't be mad about that.
3 wide receivers. These guys could play a little bit. Jamar Chase is on the list. Devontae Smith won the Heisman, so we'll go ahead and put him on the list from Alabama. And then they put Malik Neighbors, who became the all-time LSU receptions and yards leader, who was a vote shy of winning the Blitnikoff Award and was the 6th pick in the draft. I think that works out as well. The all-purpose is also a wide receiver. They put Odell Beckham on that list there. As far as, Odell was really good at LSU. He was. But was he better than Michael Clayton? I don't know about that. Now, Clayton was like 01. Can we go back that far? I don't know. Jarvis Landry merits some discussion here in this spot. Justin Jefferson merits absolute consideration in this spot. But they go with Odell Beckham as an all-purpose player there. So 3 of the 4 wide receivers are LSU, and then Devontae Smith, the one that got away from Baton Rouge there. Then offensive line. This is interesting because we know the positions that Louisiana has churned out. DBs, wide receivers, running backs have been incredible. And offensive line just really hasn't been. So for LSU, you only got one of the 5 offensive linemen, and that is Will Blackwell, who comes out of West Monroe. He was an All-American. It was really, really good on that 2011 team and absolutely merits discussion here as an offensive lineman. Then you go away from LSU. You've got Cam Robinson, who was a 3-year starter at left tackle for Alabama, a 5-star recruit. I have no issue with that one. You've got Osiris Torrance, who went to Louisiana Lafayette, was a great player there, went to Florida, was an All-American, and then was a high draft pick in the NFL. Cedric Van Pran just finishing his college career as an incredibly decorated center over there at Georgia. He comes from Warren Easton here in New Orleans. And then you've got Kevin Dotson, who's from Plaquemine, who signed with Louisiana Lafayette in 2015. I've never heard of Kevin Dotson, so I don't know who that is. I was thinking about some guys that I would potentially put on this list that went to LSU. Trey Turner was a great college player for a redshirt year, and then 2 years. Lloyd Cushenberry became a great center on a Joe Board-winning national championship offensive line who's from here. Will Clapp, I thought, was a good player. Certainly Lael Collins, I think, merits some discussion here as well. And then maybe we can't do that because he's not done yet, but Will Campbell's had a heck of a run, and he was certainly a Louisiana guy. So just a situation where LSU has had a lot of good offensive linemen from the state of Louisiana, but none that jumped into this box here. So on the offensive side, you're talking about 12 players, 5 from LSU, 2 from Alabama, 1 from Clemson, 2 from Louisiana Lafayette, and 1 from Florida, 1 from Georgia. I don't have massive qualms with this. I do have a couple on the defensive side. I probably would have put Trey Turner in here over like Kevin Dotson. I can read you the blurb on Kevin Dotson in this. It says the Plaquemine High School graduate started 52 games at right guard for the Raging Cajuns. It was a 3-time All-Sun Belt pick and a first-team All-American in 2019. He was a 4th-round pick by the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's an incredible run to be a 3-time All-Conference player, a first-team, an All-American, and then to be a high-round pick. Is it significantly better than what Trey Turner did? I don't know. I would suggest probably not. But look, give a Louisiana Lafayette guy a few flowers there. I guess that makes some sense. I kind of went a little bit longer than I wanted to there, and I want to stay on the clock, and we'll get to some LSU basketball as well. So why don't I pause for a break, come back, and we'll do the defense because I have some issues. And while you're driving around in your car, if you're thinking about this, you can kind of think about where you could go from a defensive perspective with LSU and with the players that left LSU from Louisiana. So we'll do that when we come back on the Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Like a lot of folks locked in a great interest rate a couple of years ago, and you're just not in a position where you want to move and double that interest rate. I get it. You don't have to move to improve your living situation. Brand new closets can completely change the functionality, the aesthetic of your home and your morning routine. A brand new bathroom. We spend a lot of time in the bathroom, whether you're taking baths, getting ready in the morning, getting ready to go out. How about a brand new one? You don't have to call 3 different contractors to make that happen. You call one. David Duvall and his team at One Bath and Closets, and I promise you this, they will do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. Go to the website, onebathandclosets.com. You can see testimonials from their great clients, satisfied clients. You can see pictures of their fantastic work, and right there at the top, you can request that free consultation. Doesn't cost you anything for David Duvall and his team to come in and show you what they can do. It's One Bath and Closets. Find them online, onebathandclosets.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Power up your next project with John Deere Deals by Sunshine. Whether you're working hard or playing hard, Our knowledgeable team will help you find the right product for you. Ask us about our amazing tractor package promotions. Learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have.
So join us for Wednesday's AFR presented by Pluckers. Matt is back. He'll have the latest in the transfer portal for LSU football. We'll continue our SEC spring recaps from a recap in LSU and Grambling in baseball. Wednesday's AFR 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, let's continue along here with this All-Louisiana team from the article at The Athletic. Went through the offense in the last segment. 12 players, 5 from LSU, 7 from elsewhere. On the defense, they've got 11 players on this list, and 7 hail from LSU. There are 2 from Oklahoma, 1 from Texas A&M, and 1 from Notre Dame. Start on the defensive line. We know that LSU has put out some fantastic defensive linemen over the years, and there are only 2 on this list. The other 2 come from elsewhere. Frank Alexander from Southern Lab, who signed there in 2007, is one. I don't remember Frank Alexander at all, and I was in college when that happened. Signed and ended up at Oklahoma. Glenn Dorsey, I do remember him. Decent player, pretty good guy to have on this list. He went to LSU. Next one's a Shreveport product. Jerry Tillery out of Evangel, who was an offensive lineman coming out of Evangel, ended up signing with Brian Kelly in Notre Dame. They converted him to a defensive lineman, and he became an All-American at defensive line there in South Bend. The other name is Kyle Williams. Now, this tells me they're willing to go back to at least 2002 because Kyle Williams played in 2002. So my question is that as far back as we can go? Because I'm going to need probably Marcus Spears on this list for Jerry Tillery, quite frankly, if we're going back that far. But if we're not, I'm starting to think of guys at LSU who played on the defensive front, specifically defensive tackle. When I think of the biggest names, like Chad Lavallee predates this a little bit, very likely, as a guy that played on the 2003 team with Marcus Spears. As far as other guys on the interior defensive line from Louisiana, Drake Nevis was a great player at LSU. Was he in the category of Glenn Dorsey and Kyle Williams? I don't know. Linebacker I've ever seen at LSU as well. If we were talking about best with Leonard Fournette, Devin White certainly would fit that category for me. I guess Trev Falk and Brady James too early for this as LSU guys at linebacker. Kendall Beckwith probably not in that tier. Kevin Minner, not from the state of Louisiana. He's a Georgia product and was a great linebacker for LSU. Ali Highsmith was a really good linebacker as well. But yeah, I think Edgerrin Cooper's been great at Texas A&M, and Rufus Alexander, I'll have to take your word for it. I don't recall his career 20 years ago at Oklahoma. Then you get to the defensive backs, and you're like, oh, here they come. Here comes LSU with the DBs. And LSU did pretty well at defensive back here. You got Morris Claiborne, Shreveport native. I think that makes all the sense in the world. Got Derek Stingley Jr., who, yes, we wanted to see more of Derek in 2020 and 2021, but we got that incredible freshman year in 2019. And then you got Greedy Williams there, and that tells me you're not going back all the way to Corey Webster. Because Corey Webster, I think, had a better college career than Greedy Williams, although Greedy's was very good, but Corey Webster doesn't make this list. And then LaRon Landry at safety. That's a pretty good one from Hahnville, led the national champions in tackles as a true freshman here. And what that tells me, that exercise with Morris Claiborne and LaRon Landry and Derek Stingley and Greedy Williams, it also tells me, like, man, LSU had some great DBs that weren't from Louisiana. Grant Delpit, Jamal Adams, Patrick Peterson, like, not only were you getting the great players from inside the state that would become great players, I mean, Jalen Mills was from Texas and was a great player here at LSU. You also had Ron Brooks, was a really good player that wasn't from Louisiana. You also had great guys from the state of Louisiana. They just recruited defensive back at a whole nother level than anybody outside of Columbus, Ohio, or Gainesville, Florida, quite frankly. I mean, just crazy stuff. And if you're sitting in your car going, where the heck is Tyron? Well, he's there. He's on the specialists with Brad Wing. And let's see who else they had there. Oh, I forgot. Coolest thing for me in reading this story. Won't mean anything to those of y'all listening, but Tyron Matthew, return specialist. Brad Wing, the punter, who is a Parkview product, even though he was from Australia originally. And then the kicker, none of y'all have ever heard of, but that's okay, because it's Art Carmody. Art Carmody, Loyola College Prep, my mom's godson.
Wow.
It's like a family. Art Carmody. He's my mom's literal godson. I know his family very, very well, have forever. He went to my high school. He was a senior when I was a freshman. Went to Louisville. He was the kicker on the Brom, Petrino, Louisville teams that like set a bunch of scoring records, and he never missed ever. So he set a bunch of scoring records and won the Lou Groza Award at Louisville. So awesome to see Art on that list right there next to Tyron Matthews' name. That was very cool. Probably the best high school pitcher on this list as well. Old Art, but that's
could have won Colby Del Hussey there, maybe
could have, but Art won the Groza.
Yeah, Art won the Groza.
So you're not gonna get too far off there. I mean, like Cade York and Cole Tracy, not Louisiana guys. Like Chris Jackson, Colby Del Hussey,
Cole David
was
Texas. He's Texas.
He's a Texas guy. Drew Alamo was a Louisiana guy, but. Look,
if you win the Groza, then you
can't argue with Art on that list right there. So, and for LSU, I would like to see Corey Webster. I would like to see Marcus Spears on that list. I'd like to see Justin Jefferson on that list.
White.
Tre'Davious White was apologized to. There were a few guys that got apologized to here. Justin Jefferson, Jarvis Landry, Tre'Davious White, Craig Steltz, Landon Collins, and Eric Reed got apologies at the bottom of the story saying, I've only got so much room there. Also, Eddie Lacy and Matt Forte were guys that had fantastic college careers away from LSU. But you look at it in totality, you got 12 on offense, 11 on defense, that's 23, and 3 specialists, that's 26. LSU comes away with 14 of the 26. And I would suggest not a lot of guys you were absolutely just heartbroken to miss. I mean, Cam Robinson was a gut punch. Landon Collins was a gut punch, sure. Devontae Smith, absolutely a gut punch. But some of the guys that went to Louisiana Lafayette, Cedric Van Pran, never going to come here. He always said he wanted to go out of state, go somewhere else. So I thought an interesting exercise that they did over there at The Athletic. So if you want to check it out, you can do so on The Athletic. I do want to spend some time, before we get to SEC Baseball Power Rankings, on LSU's basketball roster, which appears complete. LSU did get a commitment today from the transfer portal from Jai Bailey, G-J-I is how you spell that, Jai Bailey. And that's not the position that I was hoping that LSU would fill with the last spot. I wanted a stretch 5 that could score and move a little bit. That's the ideal player to fill in this roster that I don't know that they necessarily have on this team right now. But probably became evident to Matt McMahon as the portal was starting to whittle away that that guy wasn't showing up. So instead of just showing up with just 11 guys, you got to fill that 12th spot. Remember, LSU has self-imposed a scholarship ban as part of this whole probationary period, so they can't fill it out to 13. They can only have 12, and you certainly don't want to go play with 11. So he's going to fill out that last spot, and he did so with Jai Bailey. So by my count, LSU has 7 guards now on their roster. You got Mike Williams returning. You've got Tyrell Ward returning. And then in your freshman class, you're bringing in Curtis Givens, a point guard who I think is going to be great, as well as Victorious Miller, who is a 4-star commitment that you got away from Maryland at the 11th hour there in this signing class. So you've got 2 freshman guards. Then you bring in 3 transfer guards. Jordan Sears, who you bring in from Tennessee Martin, who is a really good shooter, a little bit of an undersized player, but can play the point and shoot the ball great. Cam Coleman, who's a physical wing from Kansas State that you bring in. And then Jai Bailey, who is 6'5", long, really attacks the rim excellently well, finishes great, is not a good shooter, is not a good three-point shooter, is not a good free throw shooter, but he's an instinctive player, gets a lot of steals. I broke his game down back on one of the shows earlier this week. He was 4th in the A10 in steals this past year and had one of the best field goal percentages in the history of Richmond basketball this year. So I think you're really good at guard. Guard play is really important. I trust Mike Williams. He's going to be better at handling the ball this year than he was as a true freshman, and he shot it great at the end of last year. Tyrell Ward is as good a catch-and-shoot wing as there is in the Southeastern Conference. That's a great thing to have. We think Jordan Sears can join him in shooting the basketball really well. So those are 3 guys that I think can really, really shoot it. Cam Coleman is a proven scorer, 15 points per game at Kansas State. That's big boy basketball in the Big 12. He should average 12 to 15 points a game at LSU. Then you've got 2 really highly thought of freshmen. I think Curtis Givens is going to be a great player at LSU, and Victorious Miller was wanted by a lot of the biggest name schools out west in college basketball, and I think can be a really good player for you. That's 7 guards, and I think LSU's guard play should be good. The front court is concerning. I'll just call it like it is. I feel great about the guards. I'm concerned about the front court. Jalen Reed, if he takes his biggest step in year 3 as he did in year 2, you'll be fine. He'll be really, really good. He's got that big frame. He shot it better this past year, showed some ability getting downhill to the rack. I like the potential there, but he's got to take a step. Damian Collins, I don't know. Didn't do much in 2 years at Kentucky. Didn't really play this past year. He's a McDonald's All-American. He's 6'11". He can run and jump. He's very skinny. I don't know what he can bring you. That remains to be seen. If he's the rim protector that I'm talking about because he puts on 10 more pounds and can block some shots, well, that fills a need this team I think has. But that remains to be seen, like I've been saying. Derek Fountain is a role player, and he's proven that in 4 years of SEC basketball. He was a role player at Mississippi State. He can be a role player at LSU, and I'm okay with Derek Fountain coming off the bench. If that's your 3rd or 4th big, that's just fine at LSU, and I'm okay with him. I don't expect some sort of massive leap from Derek Fountain. Then you've got a couple of guys that have not played college basketball yet. Corey Chest, redshirted, was a 4-star recruit, left Louisiana to go to prep school and is 6'8" and a really good athlete. Hopefully he can play some defense for you and get out on the floor. I'm a little perplexed by the decision to redshirt a player this day and age, but Matt McMahon decided that was the best course of action for Corey Chest. That's what they've done. And then Robert Miller is a big-time recruit that they brought in as a freshman, 6'10". Maybe a little bit of a work in progress, but got some real tools at 6'10". But you don't have, like, if I could add KJ Williams to this team and maybe take one of the guards off, like, I'd feel like you had a fighting chance in the SEC to get above 500 and to make the NCAA tournament.
It seems like depth at the 4 and 5 are going to be an issue for this team.
It looks that way. I mean, I have no idea what Damian Collins, Robert Miller, and Corey Chest are. Like, no idea. Collins has been in school for 3 years and not really played. Miller's a true freshman, and Chest redshirted. Like, I know what Derek Fountain is, and I know what Jalen Reed was this past year. If I could just plug Caleb Williams in there, then Caleb Williams, the Heisman Trophy winner, first pick in the draft. If I could just plug KJ Williams in there, I would feel like I had a pretty good handle on what LSU could be. I'm telling you right now, it's going to be a team that relies a ton on guards. They should be very, very good at shooting. They ought to play some pressure defense because they've got depth at guard. And I'm concerned about their ability to protect the rim and score at the basket in the front court. So the news of the day, LSU gets a commitment from Jai Bailey. Richmond transfer who's going to be a slashing wing for this team. Their guard play is going to be good. I'm concerned about what they've got in the front court, and they don't have another scholarship to play with there. So looks like this is going to be the guys that they go to battle with coming up here in the fall. So Matt McMahon's team looks just about wrapped up. All right, we'll pause, take a timeout. When we come back, it's what you've all been waiting for. SEC Baseball Power Rankings, that's next.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
Every shot, every goal, ESPN Bet has fans covered for the biggest moments on the road to the championship. The exclusive sportsbook of ESPN is the only place to find special offers and promotions from your favorite ESPN shows and personalities throughout the playoffs. New users get a bet reset of up to $1,000 in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. So download the ESPN Bet app today. What a play. You must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700 in the partnership with the Bears Lake Charles. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
He's here. Anyone want a Coors Light?
Oh, shoot, I forgot to play the song. I got a guy who can fix this.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency. The light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
The best.
Charles Hager, join me and Jimmy Ott for the Thursday edition of Live at Lunch from Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar and Town Square Pizza. We're talking to Matt Humans and Dwayne Colucci from Las Vegas. Live at Lunch, 11 a.m. Thursday on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Moving right along. We're now working towards the weekend on the back half of a Wednesday show. Thanks for hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Big weekend coming up for LSU baseball as they take on the Texas A&M Aggies. I put these power rankings together, and I feel very, very good about 1 through 4. I think it's correct. I feel very, very good about 11 through 14. I think that's correct. What goes on in the middle of that is just an absolute chaos disaster. But we'll get to it. It's our SEC Power Rankings.
Hunt's SEC Power Rankings. When you want the definitive, unquestioned pecking order of the SEC, who do you call? Hunt Palmer. Take it away, Hunt.
Many people are saying the Texas A&M Aggies are the best team in the SEC. I'm just not one of them today. I've got Arkansas at the top. Look, they could, they could fall apart a little bit at the end because they do have to go to Kentucky and they have to go to Texas A&M, and that could put a real damper on their SEC record. They're 16-5, so they're going to be a top 8 seed no matter what, unless they just completely crater the last 9 games. And their offense is a concern, but Hagen Smith and that bullpen are the difference. They strike out so many batters, they play quality defense, and they hit enough. Their offense is not great, but they hit enough. I trust Arkansas more than anybody right now, and they're 16-5, so there's good reason for that.
Texas A&M!
The Aggies are number 2 here. They're 15-6 in league play. Their pitching gave up 24 runs in 3 games at Alabama. They gave up a 9 spot to Georgia in the first inning of Game 2 this weekend. Now, I know they came back and won that game 19-9. They scored 8 on their half. There were 17 runs in the first inning of an A&M Georgia game over the weekend, if those that missed it. But it's just their pitching I just don't trust as much, and you've got to pitch it to win. You just can't bash your way through this thing in college baseball. So we'll see. Gavin Grahovic's been awesome as a freshman. He got hurt over the weekend. He is expected back playing this weekend at LSU, so A&M is at number 2.
The Tennessee Volunteers.
Got the Vols at 3. They've won 6 straight SEC series since their opening weekend loss at Alabama. They're going to Florida this weekend. How about Christian Moore's SEC numbers? They're better than Charlie Condon's. He is hitting .424 with 14 homers in 21 SEC games. That is real loud. The pitching's not awesome. It's not. The offense is awesome. I think Tennessee's very, very good. I think Tennessee's national championship good this year. We'll just have to see.
The Kentucky Wildcats.
Okay, Cats. This was very, very obvious. Their first 5 weekends were absolute cake. Their last 5 are brutal. They won the first 5 weekends. They've lost both series now that the schedule has flipped. They lost the series to Tennessee, and they lost the series to South Carolina. Now, their one win against South Carolina was a 15-13 slugfest. So the offense is hitting. I don't trust a pitching staff that never strikes people out, which is a bad deal. They play Arkansas this coming week. I think they'll lose their 3rd series in a row. Kentucky deserves to be in the upper class here. They're just at the back end of it. I really like my 1, 2, 4. That's Arkansas, A&M, Tennessee, and Kentucky. This is where things go haywire.
The Mississippi State Bulldogs.
Okay, Mississippi State's 12-9. That's pretty good. They're second in the conference in SEC-only ERA. Hunter Hines is hot. He hit 3 home runs and had 7 RBI over the weekend against Vanderbilt. Mississippi State's 12-9. They finish with Missouri. If they can find a way over the next 6 games pre-Missouri to win 4 games and get to 16 wins before they play Missouri, they may be a top 8. They're a host right now, I think. That's a good spot for Chris Lemonis' team to be in right now. I've got them at number 5.
The South Carolina Gamecocks.
I've got the Gamecocks here at 6. There's nothing they do, statistically speaking, that warrants a ton of praise. They're just pretty good at everything. Did a good job to get a series from Kentucky. They've kept their head above water at 11-10. I don't have a lot of hot takes on South Carolina. This is in the middle of the chaos. I think they're good. If they play really well the last 3 weeks, they'll host a regional. If they don't, they'll be a 2 seed somewhere. Maybe Clemson, because Clemson's going to be a top 8. So we'll see. But I got South Carolina in there at 6.
The Vanderbilt Commodores.
Vanderbilt's tricky because they have the same SEC record as South Carolina, but there's a caveat here. They're 8-1 against Auburn, Missouri, and LSU, which are in the bottom of the league. Against everybody else, they're 3-9. That's South Carolina, Auburn, Florida, Mississippi State. So they're beating up on the teams that aren't very good, and they're not doing very well against the teams that are good. I still like their rotation. Their offense does not hit home runs, which is a bit of a concern, but I think that's fair. They're in the middle of the pack at number 7.
The Alabama Crimson Tide.
Bama's tough to handicap too, because they've got series wins over Tennessee and Arkansas. That's fantastic. But the rest of the way, they're 5-10. 5-10 the other 5 weekends. Their SEC ERA is 11th in the league. They're 7th in the league in home runs hit in SEC games, which we thought their offense would kind of carry them. That's middle of the pack. So I think they're an okay team. I think they're probably better than the teams I've got behind them. Do I think they're in the same class as Kentucky or Tennessee? I don't even think they're close. So it's interesting, even though they did beat Tennessee 7 weeks ago. But I got Alabama there at 8.
The Georgia Bulldogs.
Only Tennessee has hit more home runs in SEC play than Georgia, so it wasn't just them feasting on bad pitching staffs in the non-conference, which they did. They've gotten to conference play, and they've continued to hit more home runs. What they've got left is tough. It's Vanderbilt, at South Carolina, and Florida. We know Charlie Condon's awesome. Corey Collins has kind of joined him in that discussion in SEC games. He's hitting .358 with 8 home runs, so that's very, very good. Georgia's an offensive club, but they're doing it and holding their head above water. They're 10-11. Overall, they've got a chance to make a regional.
The Florida Gators.
The Gators don't really pitch it at all. They do hit a lot of home runs. They don't hit for a lot of average. It's been kind of a letdown season for some of the guys who are supposed to take big steps up, like Cade Kurland. It's kind of been the CAG show. He puts on a show, no question about it, but he's kind of the one-man band. I've got Florida down there at number 10. They've got work to do to make a regional. They're just 9-12.
LSU Tigers.
Ugh. I realize they've won 2 weekends in a row. I'm disheartened by the fact that you played Auburn on your home field. You needed a walk-off win in Game 2 and got beat in Game 3. That's bad. That's just a bad weekend. You won 2 of 3, but it's bad. And, of course, all the weekends that predate Missouri are bad. So I don't really have a choice here. This is not a very good baseball team right now. I still hold out my hope that they can play better, and that's obviously possible, but it has to start in like 72 hours because that's all you got left. So
the Ole Miss Rebels.
The Ole Miss Rebels, I've got them at number 12. They're 7-14 with LSU. I think it's looked worse, though. They've got the worst team ERA in SEC games. It's 8.33 in league games. Look, it's a team batting average that's 10th in the SEC. They're 9th in the SEC in home runs. They are dead last in fielding percentage. I heard Chase Parham, who covers Ole Miss for Rivals, have a great line when he was talking about Ole Miss back on Monday. He said, look, they've got a couple of pitchers that do a great job of getting a lot of ground balls. They just can't catch any of the ground balls. That creates a little bit of a problem. When you got a pitcher doing his job, getting the ball on the ground, and you can't catch it, bit of an issue. They're not hitting home runs. Their ERA is bad. It's just a bad team, and I think they've got some real decisions to make coming up in 3 weeks with Mike Bianco. I really do.
The Missouri Tigers.
They're bad too. 20-26 overall, 6-15 in league play. They've only hit 10 home runs in league play. That's dead last. That's not really the story because that won't surprise you. But they've got 10. Second worst in league play is 19. Almost double them. Like, they are so far and away the lightest hitting team. It's just egregious. And they were hitting 202 when LSU went up there. And sadly, they kind of got things going in the second game of that series and beat LSU. But I've got Ole Miss down there at 13.
The Auburn Tigers.
And Auburn is at 14. They are the worst team in the league at 3-18. They're 13th in the league in batting average, 13 in ERA. You can look all the way across the board and suggest why they're so bad, and that's why I'm so disheartened that LSU would have to play tooth and nail in Game 2 and then lose a game on Sunday to that team. That was your opportunity to get 3. LSU didn't do it, and that's now in the rearview mirror, which is a huge bummer. So we'll look through SEC power rankings from the top. Arkansas, number 1. A&M, number 2. Tennessee, number 3. Kentucky, number 4. Mississippi State at 5. South Carolina is number 6. The Vanderbilt Commodores at number 7. Alabama Crimson Tide is at number 8. Georgia, number 9. Defending national runner-up, number 10. The defending national champion, number 11. Ole Miss is number 12. Missouri is 13. And bringing up the rear, Butch Thompson's Auburn Tigers. Incidentally, I wanted to bring this point up outside the power rankings, but it should hold a lot of water here because the SEC did a phenomenal job out of conference this year, especially the top of the league. You look at Arkansas, they have only lost 2 non-conference games. Remember, you play 4 weeks of non-conference games before you get to, and then you play them every Tuesday. Obviously, you know the drill. Arkansas has lost 2 non-conference games. A&M has not lost any non-conference games. Tennessee has only lost 2, and one was last night to Lipscomb. Kentucky has only lost 4 non-conference games. Vanderbilt has only lost 3 non-conference games. South Carolina only lost 4 non-con games. Mississippi State only 6. Alabama only 4. Georgia's only lost 1 non-conference game, which is fantastic. And LSU has held up its end of the bargain, only losing 3. I just rattled off 10 teams in the league. Now, Missouri's been bad out of the league. Ole Miss hasn't been great. Florida's been terrible out of the league. But the league should be looked upon exceptionally favorably come Selection Monday. Now, whether or not LSU puts itself in that discussion remains to be seen. But I would think if you're scrapping for a national seed, if you're scratching for a host site, if you're scratching to get in the tournament, the SEC, with the way that it played outside of conference this year, should be rewarded for that. Whether or not that happens, we'll see. But I wanted to point that out as we kind of talk about the SEC here going through the power rankings. All right, we will take a timeout, come back, and close things up. It is a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
Audio Video Security Solutions, avssla.com. Nothing more important than the security of your home and your family. Mitchell Fisher and his team at Audio Video Security Solutions is happy to come in and help you out with that home security and surveillance system. They've done it at my house. They come out, they provide the cameras, they install them. They installed the app on my phone. He walked me through every bit of how to use that app. So right now, I can pull up my phone, I can look at my cameras, I can do playback, I can do record. You can set up a sensor system where if anything breaches a certain area of your front, backyard, side, or any of the windows, that you get a notification, and it's all monitored. Audio Video Security Solutions, such a great local company here that can help you out with security. If you've never considered having a security system for your home, it's probably something that you need to look into, and the folks at Audio Video Security Solutions are happy to walk you through that process from the start to the finish. Check out the website. It's avssla.com. Check them out on Instagram. Always great videos of all the things that they can do from an audio, video, and security perspective. That's AVSS_BR. Here's Mitchell Fisher's cell phone number. He's the owner of the company, 225-439-7920. 225-439-7920. It's Audio Video Security Solutions online at avssla.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Power up your next project with John Deere Deals by Sunshine. Whether you're working hard or playing hard, our knowledgeable team will help you find the right product for you. Ask us about our amazing tractor package promotions. Learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13.
So join us for Wednesday's AFR presented by Pluckers. Matt is back. He'll have the latest in the transfer portal for LSU football. We'll continue our SEC spring recaps from a recap in LSU and Grambling in baseball. Wednesday's AFR 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Winding things down here on a Wednesday, half the work week in the rear view mirror. It's been a fun show here over the last couple of hours. Matt, as you just heard on Musso say there, is back in the host chair after a brief stint up in NYC, so he'll be back to drive you home on AFR coming up next. But first, let's play some Take It or Leave It.
Alrighty, first one here, Royal Troon, which will host this year's Open Championship, has lengthened its par 5 6th hole to an Open Championship record 623 yards. That's too long. Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it. I mean, if you're telling me it's soaking wet and the wind's blowing 40 miles an hour, then yeah, it is too long. But my gut tells me they know which way the wind usually blows, and they know that it's probably going to be firm and fast, and those guys are going to hit 391-yard drives, and they'll probably get there in 2. And if they don't, and they got 150 yards left for their third shot, we'll all survive. So, yeah, I think it's just fine.
Next one here, Javon Porter, former Pepperdine standout and younger brother of Denver Nuggets star Michael Porter Jr., was arrested Friday night in Missouri on suspicion of DWI. This comes 2 weeks after Porter's older brother, Jonte Porter, who was also playing in the NBA. He was banned from the NBA for life for betting on games. That happened a few days after that, Coben Porter, Michael Porter Jr.'s other older brother, was sentenced to 6 years in prison for a drunk driving crash that killed someone in Colorado last year. Keeping up with the Porters. Take it or leave it.
I'm going to leave that. That's a tough run. It's banned for betting, arrests, imprisonments. Michael Porter's got a lot going on in his plate.
Yeah.
That's a lot going on. And for the Porter parents, that's a lot going on as well. That's a bummer to hear about all that. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and leave all of it.
All right, next one here. Last night, the Dodgers and Diamondbacks had a bee delay. A swarm of bees huddled on the top of the screen behind home plate. A beekeeper arrived to save the day, sucked all the bees up, and then threw out the first pitch. That will be the greatest day in beekeeping history. Take it or leave it.
I got to take it. I mean, how many times does a beekeeper have thousands of people watching and cheering for him? If you missed this, it was a 2-hour delay. This massive hive of bees was on the net behind home plate. He comes out there in his beekeeper outfit, which, you can't make that look cool, but you got to protect yourself from thousands of bees. And he literally took this shop vac thing and was just sucking them up into the mechanism.
Yep.
And then afterwards, he was kind of hot dogging a little bit. He goes out there for the first pitch. He's throwing the helmet off. Didn't necessarily look to be the most.
Didn't throw a great pitch.
Wasn't a fireball from the mound there.
No.
But he's great with bees. And so, yeah, I got to think that next time when you're sent out to the nursing home to go get the bees out there from the back, it's probably not going to be quite as exhilarating as doing that in front of tens of thousands at the Diamondbacks and Dodgers game. So, got to be. It's all downhill from here from the beekeeper, but at least he had his day in the sun.
All right, next one here. Golfing legend Gary Player said recently in an interview that Tiger Woods would have won at least 22 majors. He, of course, has 14. Probably going to be that's it for him, but if he hadn't changed swing coaches and altered his swing so frequently during the prime of his career. Take it or leave it.
I'll leave 22. I will take more than 14.
Yeah.
This chasing perfection that he was addicted to derailed him from the Navy SEAL training to the changing swings all the time. There's never been anybody even come close to the level of play that he produced in 2000. And for him to take that and decide he had to improve upon it was costly. I don't have another way to say it. He kind of lost the ability to hit the ball in the fairway for a while there, and he got it back a couple times and certainly one later on in his career. But yeah, I think that he would. I think it's fair to say he would have knocked on 18's door.
Oh, yeah.
If he didn't do it. 22. I mean, 4 more. That's Jordan Spieth and Brooks Koepka's careers combined.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
And not to mention that wasn't the only thing that derailed his career. He had some other issues.
He did
outside of golf.
I think he probably would have. I think he probably would have been okay from that perspective. The swing change is a little bit more. Bit more of an issue.
Yeah. All right, the last one here, the HBO show Succession. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. My wife and I just finished it over the weekend. I'm not going to spoil anything for you for those that have not seen Succession, but it was a rare show that we could watch together. Like, she watches nothing but reality TV on Bravo, which is just atrocious.
It is bad.
And I watch very little other than sports, which she would consider atrocious. And she I want to watch The Wire. She's not going to do it. I think she watched a little bit of Game of Thrones. I'm not watching that. She didn't like Breaking Bad. I loved it. So there just aren't a lot of things that we can get on the same page with. We did get on the same page with Succession. They're an hour at a time. It's 4 seasons. We knocked it out in probably 2 months over the course of watching 3-4 episodes a week. And we finished it up, and I thought the finale was good. I thought they did a good job of of wrapping things up and kind of giving you the results of what was. I mean, I think anyone who's ever Succession, there's a massive company that has to be passed on, and they're fighting over how to do that. Is the genesis of the entire show, and I think they did a good job. I've also enjoyed this is not something you could have done 20 years ago. I've enjoyed listening to a couple podcasts about it now, because that's something that you can do once you watch a series. You can check out a podcast and kind of see what people think about it. And so it was a good show. Do I think it was on par with Breaking Bad for me? No, it was not. It was not that good, but it was good. You got any thoughts on Succession?
I have not watched it. I will say, though, suggestion for a show that you both could possibly watch and enjoy. The guy who created the show The Wire, which you mentioned, he also made a show called Treme, which is
in New Orleans.
Based. Yeah, it's based on the neighborhood Treme, and it's following the neighborhood, a bunch of characters after Katrina. So it's right after Katrina, and it follows a bunch of people that live in Treme and New Orleans area. It's also rated pretty well. Really good show. So something that maybe you both might maybe could watch.
I'm thinking of getting into The Wire. I'm thinking
it's really good.
Myself.
It's really good.
I heard it's the writing is on par with Breaking Bad. Anything that's even in that breath, I gotta have it.
Yeah, so. I watch it too. My wife is kind of the same boat. She's not really interested in that kind of show, but
isn't it about drugs? I said, I think it's drugs and cops in Baltimore.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't know
what it is.
Anything else? But I want to watch. So I think I might get into that. But that's not something we're gonna be able to do together. She was like, I guess we'll never spend any more time together now because Succession's over. Well, we'll probably find something to do together. All right, that's it for our Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. If you missed any of it, you can catch it on demand. 1045ESPN.com's on demand tab, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, wherever you find your sound, and of course on YouTube. Had a lot that we got to over the course of the last 2 hours. Saints got a new free agent pickup. We heard from Clint Kubiak as well. LSU basketball secured a commitment. SEC baseball power rankings were involved there. Koki Riley from The Advocate talking a little bit about the LSU baseball team. And then we had an All-Louisiana high school into college team over the last 20-ish years that I thought was pretty interesting. Watch, you can go back and catch all that on demand. Matt's back in the captain's chair. He's going to drive you home on After Further Review. We're back tomorrow, same time, same place. Start talking about LSU and A&M baseball. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Elevate brand visibility, ignite customer engagement with the power of radio and digital advertising combined. Guarantee Digital Media brings the two together as a